Welcome to Restart this morning. We're having a little time of greeting and hellos and stuff like that going on here. But I wanted to offer a special greeting to each of you. Thanks for tuning in today. We're going to learn a few things today. I think the Christmas season kind of buries us a little bit and causes issues with us. And we lose the baby Jesus. So I think today we're going to talk about something pretty special and how God reveals himself again and again throughout his creation, that we might rediscover Jesus in a way maybe we've never done before. So that's my objective and goal. Thank you very much for joining us. My prayer for you specifically is that your heart is ready and that you're prepared to listen and receive what God has for you. He's going to talk to you. He's going to speak to you, not through me, because he's interested in talking to you personally. He loves you, and he's got a purpose for your life. My prayer is that we'll collaborate together to discern what that is, to encourage you along your way. Okay, thanks. I'll gather these folks up here in a minute, and we'll start right away. Thanks. I think so. Okay, you knuckleheads. Here we go. Thank you, everyone. See, it's not fatal to meet a person, to shake their hand, say hello, but we're out of practice. Didn't it used to be that they'd sit on the porch, right, on these houses in front of a little front porch and invite the person up for a little lemonade and see how things are going in those kind of neighborhoods? We're not even building houses like that anymore. We build these big houses about this far apart, and we don't even know our neighbors' names. And that's a change, isn't it? And it's difficult for us to live in this environment, in this society, and not change along with it. And so it's also hard for us then to meet a stranger, to talk to them, just to engage them in any fashion. And of course, we're about meeting a lot of strangers in Evergreen, people that we don't know yet. So we're looking forward to that, but it's good to practice a little bit. To get started, just as by way of simple things, here's our What's Up card. I would encourage you to translate your thoughts if you have something you'd like us to preach on. For example, Tevin Stetson provided the input for what we'll be talking about today. You're welcome to do the same thing. Hey, I'd like to hear a lesson on X, Y, Z. We'll get that on the roster. We'll get it done. Okay. So I'd encourage you to use one of these. In the back area, right back there, is the giving box. If you're interested in a tax situation, getting towards the end of the tax year, if you want to see that represented on your donated giving, you can get that done this week and next, and then you'll be out of luck for next year. We have on the back board on the exit some colored pieces of paper. We'd like to encourage you to put a blessing or a prayer request on that, tape it up to that board, and as we go by mutually, we can look and say, boy, Christ is doing some pretty cool stuff here, or, ooh, there's a need represented there, and that puts something in your own mind to pray for each of us in the group, okay? So that's what we'll do with that. By way of announcement, Thursday night, the women's group that meets Thursday at 6 p.m. Is taking a 2-week break. And they'll return on January 5th. And that'll be very groovy, give everyone a little elbow room, and time to get a little seasonal. There's enough stuff going on right now without too much more. So we'll step back on that on Thursdays. Sundays, we'll be meeting as usual for sure. All right, so we're into Christmas season here, the week before Christmas. So I was talking to Tevin about what kinds of things occurred to him, what came to mind when he thought about Christmas. And here's what he kind of came up with. He talked about lights. He talked about gifts and Christmas trees and hot cocoa, marshmallows, and beating up his brother. No, that wasn't there, I guess, sorry. Decorations, huh? And of course, one of my personal favorites, Outrageous Eats, food to go. Isn't that something? I also added that things like school vacation. Wah, let's have a break from school. I got a few faces nodding heads over here. That's nice to see. How about sleeping in a little bit? That kind of feels kind of good. Wah, wah. No more early up. Take a little break. That's nice. Going out in the snow, doing some sledding. Oh yeah, that's feeling pretty good. We have all these little cool things. The baby Jesus, of course, right? We think of Christmas, we come up with that. And I might add, Outrageous Eats, a personal favorite. I have to wear drapier and drapier clothing. as the season goes by. I'll be like Omar the tent maker. I'll be in the tent next time you see me in order to hide all my blisters. So, but in all this, as I talked to Tevin, we kind of came to an agreement on something that I thought was interesting, and that's where we're going to jump into our message today. And that is, when you see these things, when you see a Christmas tree, and you look at it, and you say, whoa, that's pretty cool, it elicits something in you, doesn't it? You're actually responding to it. The tree itself is benign. It's decorated and such like that. Food's sort of the same way. You get these olfactory inputs. You're going, and we respond. We think, oh, that's Mother's cooking, or I remember this, or boy, that sure smells good. And maybe the Yuletide log crackling in the fireplace, and all these kind of emotional kinds of things that we get. The smell of cinnamon sticks does that to me, and a potpourri boiling away. I think of the holiday time all the time. But is it the cinnamon stick that's doing it? No, it's me that gives it meaning by responding to it. That's sort of my point. I mean, we're pretty good initiators as people, but really, our natures, I think our essential nature is to respond. That's how we're put together. We put our mind to something, we'll get her done, but really, we're taking input all day long. Things come to us all day long, and we respond to that. And I think that's really true. And I think that God has put inside of us, He's figured it out, He wired us in a certain way, He added these elements in a certain way to us, and to give us a wide register of emotions. And He then allows us then to respond emotionally against the spectrum of emotions and feelings. You see, He put all those feelings in us. I'm guessing He expected us to feel them, to experience them. Now, there's some emotions that we experience, like grief, bereavement, loss, terrible feelings, terrible season to go through, addiction, spreading away from that, and all the emotional baggage that's associated with that, betrayal, hurt, guilt, shame, all these activities of human living we respond to and have these emotions about, and they're very difficult seasons of our life to deal with them, but God put them in us, so we're going to experience them. We're going to feel them. And what I want to talk about, sometimes I'm awe-inspired, sometimes I'm joyful, and I'm experiencing all these things, I'm responding. And I look at this little list right here, and I am reminded about the things of the holiday season, but I find in my mind that I am forgetting Christ. The little baby Jesus, aside from the manger scene that I got to plug in and all that kind of stuff and those things, the little baby Jesus, He's in there somewhere. He's in there somewhere. It's not that we don't believe in Him. It's not that we're not paying attention to Him. It's not that He's not a significant part of the season. He's the reason for the season. Christ is in Christmas, right? But I lose Him. I get anxious. And there's things that are blocking my way. So my question I want to start and begin with, in terms of responding, is what am I responding to this Christmas? What's got my attention? What's stopping the Christ child from really touching me today? We got several little small fries in the audience today. I might have to come grab one of them babies. They're like too cute. Okay? So that little baby looked up at Mary, and it was probably, I think Jesus was probably a colicky baby. What do you think? I bet he was a little nuisance. I bet he kept Mary up all the time. I bet he was a difficult little baby. I'm just thinking, just saying. And them swallowing clothes and all that kind of stuff. Well, anyway. But there are things in this Christmas season that are blocking me. You know, I have responses in my life, but I have many responses that distract me, many responses that change the way I look at things, many responses that make me feel differently, think differently. And I wanted to go through maybe 4 or 5 of those before we really start cooking on this lesson, okay? I think the first thing that occurred to me is this notion of discontentedness. I don't know about you, but I sometimes feel discontent. I sometimes feel anxiety. I'm just not happy. And that gets in the way of me responding to Jesus, doesn't it? I don't know what it is, and I have to battle it. And I need to turn to the Word. 1 Timothy 3:8 is a very good leaner for us, and I'll have these notes available, and I'm going to start posting them, the Bible verses and such for you. But I encourage you to take some notes. 1 Timothy 3:8, Timothy, that's a new Bible verse. 1 Timothy, Yes, it's in the Thornton Revised Standard Version, you'll find, 1995 in the bookstore. If we have food and covering, with these we shall be content. This smacks to me of expectation. What am I looking for in my life? If I'm discontent about something, why? Because I have a measurement, I have something I'm looking for that is too broad. Timothy, Paul's letter to Timothy is saying, oh, by the way, brother, all you need is some chow, all you need is some covering. That's it. You can be content with that. Now, when I measure myself to that standard, I fall way short. Because I want food, I want covering. Oh, I want a certain kind of food, plenty of it, and I want a certain kind of covering, and I want this situation to be resolved in my life. I want no pain, no stress, no nothing. I want things to be peaceful. I want the white picket fence. I want the fireplace. I want the big house, nice car, warm house, warm job, all that. That's what I want. Oh, and I'm discontent. Well, if you're discontented, maybe you're shooting too high, and your expectations are mangled. Here's another verse. Philippians 4:11 says, not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am. You see, contentment involves learning. This is telling you that you're going to be discontent. This is coming from the place of discontentedness. And he's saying, I don't have any want anymore. I used to be discontented. I used to be upset with myself. I used to be thinking that I was falling short and had less in my life than I wanted. I used to be that way and think that way. But I no longer speak from need because I've learned to be content. That's a learning process. It's not going to come to you snap. So God is going to put you in situations. He's going to derive circumstances and things in your life that are going to make you feel discontented. And what you have to do is learn, hey, I do not have any want. God shall supply all my needs through Jesus Christ. God has given me everything regarding of righteousness and godly living. I am not deficient in anything. I might have a need here. I might have this aspect of my life which is not screwed down tightly as it might should be. But tell you what, I don't have any wants, really. Christ walks with me. So that helped me battle discontentedness. I have another one that makes me kind of frustrated. It's peer pressure. I don't know how you guys roll, but I know how I roll. And it's very distracting sometimes from the baby Jesus, because I've got friends and acquaintances who want me to behave and do things a certain way with them, and that are not necessarily baby Jesus related. The scripture says in 1 Corinthians, hey, don't kid yourself, you freak. Bad company is going to mess you up. That's what it says. If I'm not choosing my friends carefully, those who love me, those who I can be tender with, those who feel as I do, who believes as I do, a bad apple does what to the whole bunch? It rots them all, doesn't it? Sure does. Don't be deceived. What is deception? Deception means you don't even know you're feeling that. What is true of the deceived person is that they don't know they're deceived. Don't be deceived. Don't think everything's okay. If you got some bad nuts you're hanging around with, it's going to fuss with you. And they're going to put pressure on you to behave a certain way. They're going to put pressure on you to do certain things, to be certain things, to speak in a certain fashion, to associate with a certain crowd. That's going to make you upside down, to put more peer pressure on you, to distract you from Jesus. That's how that lines up from my point of view. Third, past relationships. You know, I'm very distracted about my past relationships. I feel wounds from them. I don't know how you guys are, but if you're breathing today, and I think most of you are, not many sleepers yet, that's always a good thing for the pastor to see, but all of us have had relationships where we have been wounded. And that distracts me from the baby Christ. Why is that? Because I don't battle it well. Now, this is a very busy page, as you can see, this Proverbs 2, but we're going to fuss with it a little bit, okay? So dig in your heels. Here we go. Solomon says that discretion will guard you, understanding will watch over you to do what? To deliver you from whom? The way of evil. From who? The man who speaks perverse things. From those who leave the path of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who delight in doing evil and rejoice in perversity of evil, whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. Now, this describes people I know. This describes people who have hurt me in certain fashions, in certain ways, some more abstract than concrete, and sometimes more bigger in my own mind than they ought to be, that's for sure. But Solomon says something very interesting. We need to be discreet and use understanding. What does that mean? Discretion means to hold back. When we deal with these people, we shouldn't be blasting them for what they deserve. We shouldn't be seeking revenge on them. Hey, you're a goofball. You hurt my feelings, because that's very distracting. It gets me all up in my own stuff. We need to put understanding. Understanding is the application of wisdom. We need to be wise and speak to these people and deal with them in a way that shows that actually you're smarter than they am anyway, but to apply wisdom. To apply wisdom. Check this next part out. See how it says to deliver you right in the middle of that verse? Why does it say that? Because if you're being delivered, it means that you are, or have been at least, in the midst of the situation. You need deliverance. You got a situation that you need to be pulled from. And the way to do that is to be discreet. The way to do that is use godly understanding. This person is on the path of darkness. This person is on the path of is crooked, and they're devious in their ways, and they are living that way, and you can't change them. That's who they are. And when you try to adjust yourself to them, all you do is get frustrated, and it takes away all your energy. And it distracts you from the baby Christ. Two more. Sometimes I take Christmas as a habit. I don't know how you are, but sometimes I don't concentrate on the baby Jesus, because now I'll put up the tree. Okay, the lights are going up. I got to do Christmas shopping. We do cards or whatever we do. We get a little distracted. The moving around. Oh, I got to go to Costco, bring a tent, and go visit the chow lady, you know. Didn't I see you here before 5 or 6 times, mister? Christmas is a habit sometimes, and I need to battle that. And there's a verse out of Isaiah I'd like to pay attention to. It says this. This is the Lord talking. He says, because this people draw near to me with their words and honor me with their lip service, but they remove their hearts far from me, and their reverence for me consists of tradition, learned by rote. You see, here's where I fall short. I don't know about you guys. Is because my heart isn't always in God's business. I don't always live my day in a daily way with my heart for God. My heart turns from Him. And my reverence for Him, the thing that's holy, the thing that's part of my service of worship for God, is only so many words. Just stuff that's in my head. You know, bless me, Lord. Bless my kids. Good night. Bless my food. You know, good night. And I don't work at my prayer life. I don't work at my reading. I don't work at my memorization. I don't do the things I should be doing as a believer because I'm in some road purgatory, and all I do is do things out of memory, and it's a habit. And we got to battle that. I got to turn my heart to Christ. It's a heart condition I have. This is a very hard one for me. It's a heart condition. Christ has to get in there and revive my heart and show me awe and reverence. That word reverence also means the word fear. A dose of fear, knowing that God's powerful. He's in heaven, you're not. Let your words be few. There are many indications in the Old Testament about the reverence for God, and sometimes we trivialize Him in our New Testament living. Okay, last piece here on the responses. Sometimes it's just a hassle. It's just a hassle. Christmas, it can be a hassle. So many of us get disappointed at Christmas. There's a person sitting in this room that I chatted about, and this person hates the month of December. There's a birthday in December that this person shares with us, a relationship with a person who's turned on this person. Christmas is here. It's a pain. It's just a hassle, okay? And I think what I learned and when I studied the situation of my own living is I'm trying to do it alone. It's a hassle because I'm trying to do it alone. Christ doesn't operate like that. He says in Matthew 11, I don't do that at all. And how do I battle this? Well, He says, come to me. All who are weary and heavy laden, right? Take up my yoke. Learn from me. For I'm gentle and humble in heart, and you shall find rest for your souls. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. You see, if we're burdened, and see at the beginning there it says, all who are weary and heavy laden. Well, if you have a heavy laden and you have this burden you're carrying, how can you pick up Christ's burden? Unless you lay your burden down first. You can't carry them both. So we're going to pray right now. And we're going to pray about whatever it is you brought in this place. And for those of you listening in on the internet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm talking to you as well. You got stuff in your life that's rough on you. We're going to pray about that right now. Here we go. Heavenly Father, we come before you right now. And we lay down our loads, Lord. We can't move forward when our hands are full of our own stuff. We're going to take up your yoke, Lord. The yoke is there to distribute the load from our hands to our shoulders, where we're able to bear that weight. And Lord, and share the load with Jesus. Jesus offers us in that verse to learn from him because he's gentle and humble. He's not going to force this on us. He's not making us do this. We come to you willingly right now, Lord God. We open our hearts to you. Teach us, Lord Father. Teach us what you would have us carry. Help us to take up your burden. Help us find rest for our souls. We ask these things in the powerful, matchless name of Jesus. Amen. So, where are we going with all this responder stuff? I did a little Facebook thing with a fellow named Christian Fable. You might have noticed if you're a Facebook person. I've got some ambivalence about it right now. I was kind of fired up for it, and I got some bad juju from people I appreciate who say it would really suck. So we may not go that way again. But I'll say this. Where am I going with response? I'll tell you exactly where to go right now, because I've got a question for you. Who doesn't like to respond to a secret? Let's say I have a secret for you, which I do. I got a secret for each of you today. Who doesn't like a secret, right? Oh, we've got one naysayer. I hate secrets. I never keep them, that's why. Well, we know what a secret is, right? A secret is something that we tell only one person at a time. So we're going to revive the baby Jesus in that manger in our hearts right now. We're going to bring him back in the forefront of our mind because of a secret. Now, God has secrets. He's packed with secrets. Moses wrote that the secret things belong to the Lord our God. But see, not only does he have secrets, not only does he have them, but see, he shares some too, see. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and our children forever. Isn't that a cool verse? Brother Daniel said it this way in Daniel 2:22. It is he who reveals the profound and hidden things. So that's what we're after today. We're going to join together in a great secret. Something profound, and I don't know how to say this. I would almost bet that none of you folks have seen this before, because I hadn't seen it before myself, so it's pretty cool stuff. And Jesus said in Matthew, I praise you, Father. He's praying to the Lord, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and intelligent and have revealed them to infants. So today, we're going to learn about a secret. And the purpose of this lesson is to exalt the baby Jesus, to help us respond to the baby Jesus and get these distractions out of our head. Because we're going to be awestruck by the end of this secret, by the end of the secret time. Here's the verse. We're going to start with Psalm 19, verses 1 through 3. Here's how it runs. The heavens are telling of the glory of God, and their expanses declaring the work of his hands. The heavens are telling. Look who's speaking here. The heavens are declaring the glory of the Lord. Their expanses declaring the work of his hands. Day to day pours forth speech. Look at that phrase. God's not just whispering or mumbling. We've got a mumbler in the crowd. I've called my wife out right now, right from the pulpit, right on the internet. For you 10,000 people listening, okay, maybe there's 3. I have hearing issues, and my wife mumbles, and it causes problems. But she says she's not a mumble, but I certainly can't hear her. So, It pours forth speech, not little, but like Niagara Falls. And night to night reveals knowledge. Do you know that every night that you walk underneath the canopy of space, God can instruct you? He can. There's no speech. There's no word. No one's talking. But there is the lesson. So our lesson today is the secret in the stars. That's what we're talking about. Genesis 1:14 tells us something pretty important about the heavens. It says, and God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate day from the night. And why are they? What purpose are they there? Why do we have stars? Let them be for signs, seasons, for days and years. There are 4 purposes for the stars that God pointed out. One, he says they're going to be signs. And we're familiar that Star of Bethlehem was a sign, was it not? Sure. Seasons, we know how that works, right? Days, years, day and night. Oh, the stars aren't out. It must be daytime, right? I mean, we can figure that piece out, right? But I don't know about you, but I haven't studied the constellations, the stars, much with respect to signs, with respect to instruction. But we're going to do that right now. So the first thing I did, of course, was hop on Google, and I started fussing around a little bit, and I found this guy who's you don't have to worry about this small print, I'm going to read it right to you right now. This guy's a big-time dude. He's big. And here's what he says. He says that constellation that populate our sky began in the lands of the Middle East thousands of years ago, and their origins are largely lost to man. The origins of the constellations are lost to man. I've got 2 words, snail pucky. That's not true. Why is that? Because there's plenty of archaeological foundation about the stars, and we get them primarily from 2 sources. The Babylonian creation tables, and way before that, the Egyptians had codified the zodiac in excruciating detail. There were 2 main temples that they served in as priests and priestesses of the sky. One was Dendera and one was Esneb. Okay? But don't let that word zodiac freak you out. You see the word zodiac, whoa, what are they doing over at that Restart Church? They're scary. It doesn't mean astrology. When you say the word zodiac, it has nothing to do with the stars making you behave a certain fashion. Oh, I was born a Libra, so therefore I behave this way. It's not that at all. It's not that at all. In fact, the term simply means passage. The word zodiac means passage. And basically what it is, it's the apparent movement of the sun against the backdrop of 12 constellations. And here's what it looks like. So, these constellations are, from our point of view, fixed in space, are they not? They sure are. And the sun, then, a line from Earth to sun, points, as the Earth revolves around, to each of the 12 signs of the zodiac. Tevin, I was bragging on you like earlier. Yeah, Tevin walked in, and now he's just going to have to listen to this sermon all over again and see what a cool guy he is. He probably didn't even know. So these are the 12 constellations. Right now we are in the Earth is more to this side of the sun. Why? Because in December, we're between Sagittarius and Capricorn. That's where we are. So given that, here's something interesting too. I got 2 more points. Libra is the only constellation of the zodiac that's not a critter. It's not a critter. And we will talk about, maybe next week, why I think Jesus was a Libra, and that he was born in October. I like to think he was born on October 8th because that's my birthday, but I actually think he was born on October 6th. And I'll explain that if you come back next week. Womp womp. All right, let's pay attention now to these 2 right here, Virgo and Leo. Virgo and Leo are side by side, are they not? And so I want you to pay close attention to that, because you think about modern technology, we got all this stuff figured out. How could they possibly have known anything about it? Virgo and Leo, have you ever seen one of those? That's a sphinx, isn't it? The head is Virgo. The body's a lion, Leo. Sphinx means to join. That's what that word means, to join. So in the Egyptian way, a little kid didn't have reading and writing. They didn't have a what's up card. Poor guys, huh? And they couldn't read. So what they do? They go out at night and they learn the story of the creation. They learn the story of God in the stars. Why? Because God says He put them there as a sign. He put them there to point to His creation. He put them there to give Himself glory. Am I crazy? Sure. But check this out. Here's our shot of some stars, huh? Kind of crazy, all the constellations, there's lines all over there, right? But what was key in my mind's eye, as I studied this, were these two guys, Virgo and Leo, because the Egyptians went to a lot of bother with them, didn't they? I'm sure it was very costly to make the Sphinx, right? I imagine it was humongously costly. And the Sphinx, the joining of those two constellations in the zodiac has a very key importance. And I discovered something about them that we're going to share right now. Now this whole picture is going to shift this way and up on you, and I'll get a little closer to it. So there's Virgo, there's Leo. There's Virgo. Virgo's the Virgin, Leo's the Lion. But what I want to concentrate on are the little guys right below, right down here. There's three of them. One's called Corvus, one's called Crater, and one's called Hydra. Hydra. And in these three star constellations are the story of the defeat of Satan and of Jesus Christ conquering him. Yeah. I told you it was a secret. Now, if we have modern technology and they look at this star cluster, it looks like that. There's alphas, and if it's extra bright, it's an alpha. The next light is a Greek beta, etc. We've got deep space objects represented there. It's all very modern and very... But see, the stars used to have names. But in modern technology, what have we done? We've stripped away all those names and gave them alphanumeric designations. That's not how it was. Satan's done that. Because there's a story in the names of those stars. And we're going to point out those stories right now. Right here in this place. Because right here, all you see are mathematical symbols. There's no meaning in this to us. And yet, watch this. So here they are, the same constellations. There's Hydra. Hydra is a water snake, right? Is a snake, is a serpent. A serpent. Right? Hydra is the largest constellation in the sky. Just like the devil is the most powerful angel of evil. And is everywhere. The serpent, the devil. That's what Hydra represents. Why do I know this? Check this out. So he's this first one here. He's the one that dribbles all the way down. These other two guys we're going to get to in a second. So in the day, which we get from the Egyptian temples, they had names for these stars. And there were three principal names in the stars of Hydra that I wanted to point out. The first one is named the Abhorred. Hydra was to be abhorred. Hydra was to be spat upon, was to be left alone, was to be pushed away. That's the name of the star in that constellation. How about another one? The brightest star put away. That's the name of the star. The brightest star put away. The name of the star is predicting the future of Hydra. To be put away. Not enough? The piercing of the deceiver. That's the third brightest star. You see, this constellation group and the names that were given the stars of these constellations were pointing to the destruction of Satan. The piercing of the deceiver. Not convinced? Great. Keep watching. This is Corvus. Corvus is a Latin name for raven. Ravens, what do they eat along the highway? Dead things, right? I'm going to give you two star names out of Corvus. One, the enemy breaking up. Isn't that an interesting name for a star? The enemy breaking up. Check this next one out. The raven tearing to pieces. is the next name for that star in here, that one right there. It's called the raven, tearing to pieces. What is it tearing to pieces? Hydra, Satan. Let's check out this next one. It's called Crater. It's this one right here. Crater. Here's the name of this star. The cup of wrath poured out on him. The name of the star in this constellation, that one right there, is the cup of wrath poured out on him. See where they are? The raven is tearing, the cup is pouring on what? On the serpent. It's in the stars. Now, that's nothing. The real stuff's coming right now. And that's in the shape of Leo. There's a modern look at the constellation of Leo. You'll see again with the alphas, the news, and all these deep space objects and things, how it's represented. But I prefer something that looks like that. A little more cool. And the names of these stars in the Lion are very, very interesting to learn about. Because not only do we call Christ the Lion of Judah, right? We're familiar with Leo. In other societies, they had a different name. The Arabians gave them the name the rending lion. In their ancient works, it doesn't say Leo, it says the rending lion. They had their boys, they sat outside, they looked up and they said, ah, there's the rending lion. That's what they'd say. The Persians had yet another name. The lion leaping forth as a flame. Shut up! Isn't that crazy? The lion leaping forth as a flame. The Egyptians called it what? The pouring out of divine wrath. That constellation that we call Leo was called the pouring out of divine wrath. That's how the Egyptians knew that constellation. Now check out the names for some of the stars that the Egyptians had. One of the stars is called Shining Forth. Wouldn't that be Alpha or Bravo, like we call it? One star is called Shining Forth. Another one, Exaltation. Leo, the king, Exaltation. The Judge Who Cometh is the name of another star in that constellation. The Judge Who Cometh, predictive of what was going to happen to Hydra. Check this out. And the brightest star is Regulus. It's called Treading Underfoot. Treading underfoot. What does the scripture say about that, you guys? Huh? Remember? Look at the position of Leo. Look where he's at. Right? He's over on the top of Hydra. Hydra's down here. Those are the three we were talking about. And look at the position of Leo right there. Huh? See that? There he is. He's on top. He's over Hydra, right? See? The Judge Who Cometh. The rending lion. The pouring out of divine wrath upon the sake, upon the evil one. The treading under feet. You remember in Genesis, God says that he will crush your head. Where is the lion heading? To the head of Hydra. On the stars. It's there. You know what's interesting, I think, too? Because when we back this up, you see all the clutter of our own living. All the distraction and all this kind of stuff going on. You know, amid all that noise, amid all that clutter, amid all the chaos of the world, high up, above, distinct, on its own, is Leo. Is the Lion of Judah racing down to crush the devil. It's in the story of the stars. God says he put the stars in the universe for a purpose, as a sign. And he alone soars above, undaunted, supreme. He roars for you. See? He hasn't given up on you. You might have given up on you. You might be tired of you. You might think there's no more things for you to do in the world. But guess what? Your distractions are simply distractions. The baby in the manger is God. Is God. That's the important part. That's what we got to remember. Is God. Jesus is God. Now we're going to say goodbye to our internet listeners. And I'm going to come, not quite yet, friend. Ziegno, Jordan was going to cut me off, but I got to get my puss in front of this screen. Okay. I don't know where you guys are at and what you're even thinking about, any of this kind of stuff, but the time is now. Right now. Do you know that baby? Do you know who he is? Do you know that he's God himself? That everything that's full, and in him, all the fullness of deity dwells in bodily form. He is God. Take the distractions of your life and put them aside. Take the things that are bothering you, that are fussing with you, put them aside. There's an address right here. Friends at restartforus.org. It's time to take stock of your heart. It's time to say, I want to give my heart back to God. I want to put Jesus back in Christianity. I want to put Jesus back in Christmas. Well, or perhaps you never have given your heart to Christ. I have a feeling about most folks sitting right here, but I don't know who you are. There's an address right here, friends at restartforus.org. Boost an email to that address. We'll get right back to you. We'll be on it. You let us know where you're at on this situation, and we're more than happy to come alongside you. All right? All right, so we'll say goodbye for now and appreciate you joining us.